Hello, this is Mr. Goldberg going over some released items. So go ahead and hit pause so you can read this. Pretty straightforward. How did the Mexican-American War increase sectional tensions throughout the 1850s? And the answer is going to be something to the effect of, will that new land be free or slave? And so the answer is going to be here: intense debates about the extension of slavery into the new areas. So the answer is C, and we've talked about that a bunch before. This one here, go ahead and read this, but it's from the Alien and Sedition Acts. And the question is, how did the quasi-war with France and the passage of the Alien and Sedition Acts affect American politics? Did this legislation limit U.S. citizens' First Amendment rights? Yes, so the answer is going to be A. Sorry about that, but let's take a look at these other options here. B, legislation increased the power of the state governments. This says nothing about that. C, legislation passed that limited the power of the president. In fact, this increases the power of the president because it lets the president order aliens that he judges dangerous to depart out of the territory of the United States. And then D, expanded voting rights to newly immigrated citizens. That's not at all what this is talking about. Question 9 here. Go ahead and read this about the 7 Years' War, the French and Indian War. How did this proclamation after the war contribute to colonial unrest leading up to the Revolutionary War? Colonists wanted to settle in the Ohio Valley and lands farther west. That sounds right. They felt the British abandoned them in North America. No, the British helped them defeat the French and Indians. That's why it's called the French and Indian War. Colonists who fought with the French were angry over their defeat. Not so much. Colonists were unhappy with British aggression toward Native American Indians. No, they were actually happy with that because they had the Indians' land. But what they were sad about is that the colonists wanted to settle the Ohio Valley, but the proclamation line of 1763 said they could not. So the answer is A. Okay, question 10 here. These are 3 advertisements, it looks like, from newspapers in South Carolina, Louisiana, and Tennessee. I'll let you go ahead and read those. Go ahead and hit pause and then hit play when you're ready. And then it says, based on the above excerpts, what impact did the breakup of the plantation system have on African American families in the United States? All those ads seem to be people trying to reconnect with family members. And so the good answer choice here is going to be D, family members separated by slavery worked hard to locate one another and reunite. Families didn't break apart. There's no evidence of that to meet new people. There's 40 Acres and a Mule we learned about in connection with the Ebenezer Creek massacre, but that's nothing to do with this question. And there's nothing in the question about African American families assimilating into the dominant white culture of the United States. So answer choice D is the right one here. Okay, question 1 in another form. Why did Jefferson oppose Hamilton's plan to establish the national bank? Jefferson is for strict construction of the Constitution, and Hamilton is for a loose construction. And so, did Jefferson believe establishing the bank unfairly benefited Western land speculators? Maybe, but that's not going to be the best answer here. It's going to be about power and Federalists and Anti-Federalists. Would it be expensive and delay congressional funding to purchase Louisiana Territory? No, that wouldn't happen for a while. That's 1803. And the bank plan is before 1800. Making the national bank make it easier for local banks to foreclose on small farms? No. So the answer is going to be D, but let's take a look at it. Jefferson felt that establishing the national bank was an unconstitutional act that unnecessarily strengthened federal power, and as an anti-federalist, Jefferson would not be in favor of that. So the answer choice here is Gate. Okay, questions 2 and 3 here. How did George Washington try to influence U.S. politics in his farewell address? He did not recommend a 2-year term limit, nor did he appoint himself commander of the Continental Army. He did warn against foreign entanglements, so C is good. He also warned against political parties. But of the answer choices here, C is the best. And then he cannot appoint your vice president to the presidency. The whole point is that people have to run for office. And Adams did win, edging out Thomas Jefferson. What qualification did states generally require for voting in the United States before 1820 with the Jacksonian democracy revolution? You used to have to own property. So the answer here is B, and it is not the other ones. Number 4, what was the main foreign policy problem for the U.S. immediately before the War of 1812? So sort of what led to the War of 1812 would be another way to ask this question. Violations of the neutrality of American ships actually is the answer. It's that impressment thing, taking American sailors off and claiming that they were British sailors who had abandoned the British Navy. It's not the refusal of France to sell Louisiana to the United States, because they did. It's not closing the port of New Orleans by the Spanish, because we don't fight the Spain in the War of 1812, we fight Great Britain. And it wasn't attempts by the British to invade the U.S. from Canada. Number 5, in the U.S. prior to 1820, which was the primary conflict between white settlers and American Indians, that's going to be over the use of land, not so much trying to convert Native Americans to Catholicism, and not so much navigation of the Mississippi River. Protection of animals sounds nice, but the primary conflict is, oops, just meant to highlight the word primary there, but primary conflict is over the use of land. We will do one more and then take a break and do the other ones in another document here or video. But what was Lincoln's main goal at the beginning of the Civil War? He's not trying to abolish slavery at the beginning. He's just trying to keep the Union together. So preserving the Union is keeping the Union together. That's the right answer. Slaves, not yet. Destroying the concept of states' rights, no. And punishing Confederate states. At the beginning of the Civil War, he's not trying to punish them, he's trying to keep them in. So he wants to preserve the Union. Answer choice. All right, thanks for watching. More in another video.